Chapter 2 Perplexities and Premonitions. We had lunch, much talk at the table, all the family present. Grandfather is lovely, quite a character. So fair-skinned, he looks European, always dresses in white. A silent man, very few words. After lunch, I went to have a rest in my room. Everybody else did the same, as is the custom in every hot country. The room was cool and tranquil, full of green light, like a secluded greenhouse. Only the soft swish of the ceiling fan, an occasional car passing by, and the usual noises and the voices of an Indian street. I stretched out luxuriously, the pleasant sensation of cool air on my skin, thinking over lazily this morning's conversation. It was then I suddenly realized that I did not remember his face. I could not recollect what it looked like. It gave me such a shock that I literally gasped. His garment, his mala, his hands. The room and the furniture I remembered well, and a good part, though not the whole, of our conversation. His slender feet in brown strap sandals. Wait a moment, the feet, those sandals, where have I seen them before? Oh yes, in a dream long ago. I was looking at them, trying to follow their rhythm, when a tall Indian, whose face I did not remember, was leading me in a dance on a stony desert road. They were the same feet, the same sandals, but his face, seen only a few hours ago, I could not recollect. I realized that I remembered a body and no face. Got such a fright that I sat up on the edge of my bed. Am I dreaming? Am I mad? What is it? Who is this man? Did he mesmerize me, or am I going round the bend? Was very disturbed. Lay down again, forcing my mind to remember, but to no avail. The more I tried, the more I became confused. Just to do something to pass the time. I got up and wrote a short letter to Elle, just a few lines, that I met him and hoped that she would be here soon. I could hardly wait till 6 p.m. When I arrived, he was sitting cross-legged in his chair in the garden, talking to some men seated around on chairs. I felt very relieved. Of course, how stupid of me. Here he is, in the flesh, looking very real and solid like everybody else. And sure enough, he had a face, and he was laughing at that very moment, for he was telling a funny story in Hindi. Everybody laughed, and I was looking fixedly at him. I could not understand how I could be so foolish to forget something so obvious. I did not want to have the same experience again. It was far too disturbing. I wondered, how far can I trust my mind, my memory? So I looked at his features to impress them well in my mind. Little did I know then that never again would I be able to forget his face. After a while he turned to me and said in English, I would like you to keep a diary, day by day entries of all your experiences, and also to keep a record of your dreams. Your dreams you must tell me, and I will interpret them for you. Dreams are important. They are a guidance. 4th October. Went to Bai Saheb in the morning after breakfast, and in the evening after 6. My judgment, I still do not know. I cannot even think properly. On the first day, when I was annoyed with myself, my brain kept getting empty, and I could hardly think coherently. Now, too, especially when I'm at his place, the thinking process seems to slow down considerably. Thoughts come and go, lazily, slowly, just a few, and far in between. I see people come in, touch his feet, sit down quietly, and fall into a deep state, completely oblivious to their surroundings. I was told that this is the state of dhyana, but what this dhyana is supposed to be, he did not tell me. He only smiled and said that I will know it myself one day. I have heard this one before, so it seems. Perhaps, after all, it is of no importance if he is a great guru or not. Perhaps it does not even matter to be able to understand who he is. If he can teach me how to abstract the senses, because this is what the dhyana seems to be able to meditate like this, oblivious to everything, I wouldn't ask for more. After all, it is supposed to be a desirable state to which all yogis aspire, and it is the most difficult state to achieve, especially for those of us in the West. For us who are used to living and functioning on the mental level, to be beyond it seems a utopia, a sheer impossibility. But here I see it is done, so seemingly easily, so effortlessly. And what's more, he told me that I will be able to do it too one day. Can hardly believe it. I will never be able to do it, so it seems to me. Baisab was telling us about his father who died years ago in January. A celebration which is going to be on that day, the anniversary of his death. But until then, we will go. A kind of panic seized me. My mind began to reel and then went blank. I could not understand one word of what he was saying. Heard the sound of his voice, but the words had no meaning. It was just a sound, nothing more. Something in me knew the meaning of what he was saying, but it was not the brain, and I was very frightened. "Did you get my idea?" he concluded. "I did," I lied. "But Bai Saheb, it is a frightening thought, for it seems to be a journey of no return. And a journey which has no return is always terrifying. The personality is afraid, because it knows that the I will go, that it has to go. There comes a time in our life when we have to burn all the bridges behind us, or they are burned for us, which is the same thing. Because the little self will be afraid, it will put up a terrific fight for its life." All the while I was speaking, I was amazed at my answer, because I really did not hear one word of what he had told me. Still, my answer must have been the right one, for he smiled gently without comment, nodded, and began to speak to others in Hindi. 5th of October. On the first morning, 3 days ago, he had said, "If you say to a human being, 'Sit in this asana,' posture, or that one, meditate in this way or that, you are putting the human being in prison. Leave the man alone, and he will find God in his own way." But is he not trying to put me in prison? This fact of my mind not working, what is the meaning of it? Asked him this morning if it was true, as I read in one of Mr. Leadbeater's books, that the Atma, when in incarnation, assumes the features of the physical body and can be seen more or less 1 foot above the head of the person. And the eyes are the same as the physical eyes. The eyes and the forehead are the same, and yes, it is true, it can be seen above the head of the person. Then I asked why on the second day of our meeting he wanted to know if I was free, completely free, had no dependents, neither relations to look after, nor any obligations to bind me. "You know that I am free, so why did you ask?" "Yes, I know of course that you are free, but I wanted a confirmation from yourself. Sometimes in this physical world we have to behave and speak as if we knew nothing." It seemed a strange answer, but I did not ask further. Looking at me thoughtfully, he said slowly, "It takes time to make a soul pregnant with God, but it can be done. It will be done." This too seemed a strange statement. I kept very still, looking at him and wondering. Later, a young man came whom I have already seen here, a handsome tall Indian with a severe face. He could be about 30, so I thought. This time he brought his little girl with him. She was 3.5, as he later told me. A pretty child with enormous eyes like deep pools of innocence. It is strange and wonderful that all the children of all the nations are beautiful. Why do people change so much when they grow up? The young man touched Guruji's feet, bowing down very low, sat down, and fell immediately into deep dhyana as usual, sitting there perfectly motionless, unconscious of everything, his child standing between his knees, playing quietly with a flower. He is a very evolved human being, said Bai Saheb as soon as the man had left. He works on the railway and comes here when he can. The old man, whom I thought looked like a prophet in a nativity play, by the way, his name is Munshiji, came in with a list in his hand asking questions. The servant was called in. Bai Saheb's wife came with a dish of rice, and a long discussion began in Hindi. His wife does not speak English at all.